In part 1 of this video, I hurried through trying to explain what Multi Chan Hax does and why it's such an incredible tool. I tried my best to explain the theory behind it because if you can grasp the concept of what it does, you shouldn't feel too overwhelmed by it. If you find part 2 too difficult to comprehend, you might benefit from viewing the introduction before you try to follow along. But for everyone else, let's get started, shall we? For this walkthrough, I'll be showing you how simple it can be to create a seamless pair of socks or stockings using the Multi Chan Hax filter. I have opened the lower body templates by Robin Wood, and the first thing I'm going to do is create a new layer. I'll call this layer wireframe because I'm going to use Multi Chan Hax to render the new UV template. The terms wireframe, template, UV layout, for this tutorial they're pretty much interchangeable. With this layer selected, I'm going to go up to Filter, TextLop 3D, Multi Chan Hax. A pop-up window will appear, which is the main control center for the filter. Next, click the Load button. The first time you run the filter, you may need to navigate to where you saved the Multi Chan Hax files. Once you've found them, you can select whichever one suits your needs. We're working on a pair of socks, so I'm going to choose SL Leg Pattern Wrap Full 01C2. With the file selected, click Open. There are two checkboxes below the Load button. The reverse checkbox flips between the two selected channels. In this case, it's just switching between channels 1 and 2, so for now we'll just leave it deselected. The wireframe checkbox is the most important box for us to enable right now. It renders the new UV layout, which is a very basic template for us to work from. You wouldn't blindly paint a pair of socks without the templates from Robin or Chip. The same applies with Multi Chan Hax. So, we've loaded the file, the checkbox for wireframe, the channels should read 1 and 2, now we can press OK. You should see the new UV layout on the layer you created at the start, and to make it a bit clearer for you, I'm going to turn off the visibility of Robin's templates for now. Let's take a closer look and see if we can make sense of it all. On the TextLop wiki, there's a caution about this particular file. The ratio is 1 to 2, so watch out for that. So we already know that the leg from top to bottom is squished in half. If I wanted to make a pair of stockings with a checkerboard pattern, the checkerboard would have to be rectangular, twice as wide as it is high. If you look at the wireframe for a bit longer, you'll also see that it's just one leg. The socks will be a mirror copy. I think Abu designed it this way on purpose because, well, there's only one foot on the default UV templates. I did mention some of the quirks of the avatar mesh in the first video, but that is yet another one we have to learn to live with. Okay, let's get back to inspecting this new template. I can see a few landmarks of the mesh geometry. The closest spacing of the wireframe near the top would be where the knee bends. There's a bit of a bulge where the calf extends. There's some closer spacing further down, which would be the ankle. It's split down the back of the leg, and you can quite clearly make out the toe area as well. So while this may look alien and intimidating at first, it should start to make more sense once you pick it apart piece by piece. One of the nifty things to notice about this particular layout is that it extends across the entire canvas. Why is that nifty? It means that you can use any tiling texture to fill a new layer and it'll be seamless. Keep in mind that to tile seamlessly it needs to be to the power of 2. So 32 by 32, 16 by 64, up to your canvas size. That's something you definitely can't do with the standard UV layout. Moving along, I'm going to create a new layer above the wireframe layer and I'll call this one Texture. I've grabbed a texture from Tawley's Flickr album, which is called Lined Sherbet. It's a grungy looking ribbed fabric in purple and brown. It caught my eye as something that could easily pass as a sock. This texture is the same resolution as my template, which is 512 by 512 pixels, and it's seamless horizontally. I'm going to select the whole layer, copy it, and paste it into our working document. Now here comes the really cool part. With this new texture layer selected, I'm going to go back to the Multi Chan Hax filter. So go to Filter, TextLop 3D, Multi Chan Hax. The file we loaded before is still active, so we don't need to load it again. This time we want to switch back to the the original UV layout, so we need to click the reverse checkbox. In the preview window, you will see the wireframe, which is the lower part of the avatar legs and the feet of the standard template. It's something familiar, it feels like home, but this time we don't need the wireframe. This time we want to shift the pixels. So, click on the wireframe checkbox again to turn off wireframe mode, and in the preview window you'll see it change over to shifting pixels. Click on OK to accept. I'm going to turn on the visibility of Robin's templates and turn off the wireframe layer we created, and now we have something that's starting to look like socks. Yay! But we're not finished yet. If you zoom into the edge of the avatar template, you'll see that the pixels stop abruptly at the edge of the avatar mesh. This happens with all the Multi Chan Hax files, so you need to be aware of it and you need to find a way to manage it. If I was to leave it as it is and upload it with transparency, there would be a very noticeable problem with the layers beneath poking through at the seams as you zoom out in world. This is more of an anti-aliasing / rendering issue than it is an issue with Multi Chan Hax. For a 512 pixel canvas, the minimum bleed area, is about 4 pixels. You can make it more than that, but I wouldn't try it any less. In order to create that extra padding, I like to control left click on the layer's thumbnail, then go to select, expand, and enter 4 pixels. This will give you a selection that should cover most of the bleed area. While I have this selection active, I'm going to change over to the channels palette and save it as a new alpha channel. I then hit Ctrl D to deselect, and now the transparency is being controlled by the alpha channel. I don't need to think about transparency again. Switching back over to the layers palette and making sure the texture layer is selected, I'm now going to use that fabulous Flaming Pear Solidify filter to fill in the holes. So I go up to Filter, Flaming Pear, Solidify. You can choose A, B or C. I like to run Solidify B because it's a bit faster. Let it run, and you'll see that the entire layer is now entirely opaque, which is exactly what I wanted because it's filled in that bleed area nicely and I don't have to worry about jaggies or halos. Now all that's left to do is save it out as a 32-bit targa so that we have the transparency controlled by the alpha channel, and upload it to Second Life to see how it looks. So here I am stripped down to my undergarments on my own little private OpenSim oasis, and I'm ready to test out the socks we just made. It's standard procedure from here on. I'm going to upload the file. If you wish to preview it in this little window you can, otherwise click upload. It goes to your inventory. I'm going to go to edit appearance and click on the sock tab. I made these earlier so they've already been named. Grab the texture you just uploaded and drop it on the texture picker, then save. I'm going to hop on my little posing stand here to keep still while we cam in for a closer inspection, but looking at the overall effect, I think we can safely say it worked. But let's really zoom in to find some flaws. Looking at the outer leg, it's looking fabulous. Even around the ankles, where the top of the foot joins the lower part of the leg, it's near on perfect. But let me switch my pose over so we can inspect the inside leg as well. It's looking flipping awesome here too. Now get ready for what I think is the coolest part of this particular Multi Chan Hax file. Not only does it wrap around the leg seamlessly, check out how well it wraps around the foot. Even the soles are seamless. God, I love this filter, and I think most of you will too. I hope you've been able to follow along and absorb the idea behind this nifty little tool. Please do try out the other Multi Chan Hax files to see just how much it's capable of, and if you find the filter as jaw-droppingly useful as I have, you might want to thank the maker. To Abu Nasu, you rock my world.